Hello and welcome to this After Effects certification preparation series of videos. I'm Luisa Winters. In this video, I want to talk about Objective 2.2a, which is to identify, navigate, and manipulate elements of the After Effects interface. So let's go ahead and hop onto After Effects and open the project that was included with your exercise files. If you have not downloaded them, please go ahead and do so now. Here in After Effects, let's go ahead and create a new composition. And as we saw in the previous videos, there is a number of ways in which you can do that. I'm just going to choose Composition, New Composition, and I'm just going to name it New Composition. And I'll leave everything as it was, which is HD, 1920 by 1080, etc., etc. And I'm just going to click OK. And now I have my composition here. I am going to populate this composition with some layers. And these layers can be anything. They can be solids, they can be audio only, they can be video, anything at all. So you can add anything you want. I'm just going to add some of these video files. So I'm going to expand the video files folder here, and I'm going to select, I don't know, 5 of these, and I'm just going to drag them down. And this is now what I have. All of my layers are playing at the same time. Of course, you only see the top one because it's covering the bottom ones. And now we're just going to talk about some things about the interface. Let's go ahead and make sure that no layers are selected. So go ahead and click on the gray here at the bottom of the composition panel and see how no layers are selected. If I click on one of the layers, it becomes highlighted, right? So make sure that no layers are selected. And now let's go on to some of these menu items here. So File, pretty much all of them are available except for a couple of them. See, this one is grayed out. That's the new comp from selection is grayed out. I can't click on it. Set proxy, interpret footage, all of those are grayed out. If you go on to edit, it's the same thing. Some things are available and others are simply grayed out. In composition, many of them are available, but see, add to output module, that's grayed out. Set a save current preview is also grayed out. On the layer, most of them are grayed out. So with this, all I want to say is the following. If by any reason you're working in After Effects and whatever you want is grayed out, in other words, not available to you, that's because whatever it is that you want to do is not selected. So if you want to do something to a composition, the composition needs to be selected. If you need to do something to a layer, that layer needs to be selected. If you want to do something to an effect of a layer, then that effect needs to be selected. And by selected, I simply mean click on it. So you can click on its name, you can click on the rectangle on this side of the timeline, whatever it is. You can click on it here in the comp panel. It doesn't matter. It needs to be selected. And look at the visual feedback that we get is that that layer is highlighted. Look at the difference now. If I go on the layer, all of the options are available. Whatever it is that you want to do it to is not selected, then you won't be able to do it. That is the major reason why people get confused in After Effects. They're like, Luis, I want to add this effect to this layer, but none of the effects are available. Yeah, I mean, if no layers are selected, no effects are available. All right, so simple solution, select the layer, select the effect, select the whatever, and then everything becomes available to you. Next, I want to talk about some tools. Notice that there is a toolbar up here. The tool that we have by default selected is the selection tool. Its shortcut is the letter V as in Victor. That's about the only shortcut in the Adobe ecosystem that is the same across all of the apps. So in Photoshop, the selection tool or the move tool is going to be the letter V. In Premiere Pro is going to be the letter V. In After Effects, etc., etc. So the letter V is an important shortcut to remember. Now, this is not on the test, but this is just me telling you a little bit of advice. Always have the selection tool selected, unless, of course, you need another tool, in which case you go to the other tool and then come right back to the selection tool, which means that you're going to be pressing the letter V quite a bit. Alrighty, other tools are the hand tool. You know, I never go to this tool because the hand tool, if I zoom in here, and by the way, I did so with my mouse scroll wheel. If I click and drag with the hand tool, I mean, that's great, right? But now I have to like switch tools. Well, if I press and hold the space bar, I temporarily get the hand tool and then I don't have to worry about it. So, you know, I'm just saying. Next, I want to talk about the magnifying glass tool. So this tool, which is the zoom tool, you can use it, you can click and drag and then zoom into that. But, you know, I also never use this because I can use the mouse scroll wheel in conjunction with the hand tool. So, you know, there are 3 tools that are grayed out. That is because these are applicable only for 3D compositions, and we're not in 3D, we're only in 2D, so grayed out. Remember, if it's grayed out, it's because it's not applicable to whatever you have selected. Then we have the rotate tool. So this is the rotation tool. Its shortcut is the letter W, not that that matters, but you can just click here, select the tool, and then click and drag to rotate your layer. I'm going to undo that, Control Z on Windows, Command Z on the Mac. This is the anchor point tool, which of course After Effects calls the pan behind tool. You can use this to just click and drag and move the anchor point to whatever you want. More on the anchor point a little bit later, but keep in mind that the anchor point is the point of origin for all of the transform changes. And we're going to talk about what those are, transform that is. Then you have these like shape tools. So if you click and hold here, so click and leave the mouse button down, you're going to see rectangle, rounded rectangle, etc., etc. And these are to create shapes and masks. Then we have the pen tool. Same thing. You can click and hold and other tools appear. So the pen tool, the add vertex tool, etc., etc. Any tool that you see here that has that little wedgie thingy there on the bottom right, that you click and hold, other tools will appear. The same with the type tool. And finally, see these, the roto brush tool, and then of course, the puppet pin tool, which we're going to talk about in later movies. All right, so now we've talked about some menus, we've talked about some tools, we talked about why some things are grayed out sometimes. Let's talk about some panels. So in here, clearly, we have the timeline that represents the composition up here, or the opposite. This composition panel here represents anything that is happening in the timeline. We also have other panels. We have the project panel. In here, we have a series of panels. We have info, we have audio, we have preview. And the thing is that whatever panels are showing, and in whatever location they are and how big they are, that's known as a workspace. And After Effects comes installed with several different workspaces. We are right now in the default workspace. We could go to the review, to learn, to small screen, and to change, all you have to do is click on the name. So this would be small screen, then standard, then libraries, and you can just switch workspaces by clicking up here. You can also modify an existing workspace. So say we start with default, and now I'm just going to come here and make this a little bit larger. And I want to show the effects and presets panel like that. And in fact, maybe I want it here. Notice that I am clicking on the name of the panel and then clicking and dragging. And as I drag, I get like a little preview of where the panel is going to go. If that preview looks like a rectangle and I let the mouse go, then I get another panel tab. So it belongs to the panel set. But if I click and drag and it looks like a trapezoid like this, that means that that panel now will be sandwiched in between the other two. And I can have a floating panel if I press and hold Control and then click and drag. There you have it, it's a floating panel, right? And to attach it again, I just have to click on the panel name, drag it, and there you go. If I really like that workspace, I can save it. So I can modify my workspace however I want, and then all I have to do is go to Window, Workspace, Save as New Workspace. I can give it a name, say Luisa Workspace, name it whatever you want, click OK, and now that is part of these shortcuts that I can just click and go there. So After Effects will remember those panels. If you ever close a panel by mistake, like, oh, I closed the comp panel, I closed the effects and presets panel, right? They're gone, they're closed. You can always reopen any panel by going back to that workspace or by going to Window and whatever the name of the panel is. The panels that are open, do you see how they have that little check mark next to them? Yeah, that just means, hey, that panel is open. I can open the character panel, for example, and there it is. So any of these panels that you don't see, like if I'm ever talking about a panel or in the test, they ask you about a panel and you just don't see it, go to Window and choose the name of that panel. Alrighty, so we have gone over menus. Some menus, I didn't give much of an explanation, but at least I told you why some are grayed out. We've gone on to some of the tools, and you can click and hold in one tool and then others will appear. And that happens with the tools that have that little white wedgie thingy on the bottom right-hand side. And then we went over panels and workspaces. And that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching and see you on the next video.